You can make stepping stones from your obstacles. This is Ken Harvey. When Marlene Martinez of Warden attended space camp on a migrant education scholarship as a 14-year-old in 1997, she returned with a dream to someday become an astronaut. For as long as I can remember, I have been fascinated by anything related to space, stars, and astronomy, she says. Ever since my dad first took me out to the backyard to show me the shooting stars, I was hooked. I would sit on the roof and try counting as many stars as possible. With the help of local educators and the Upward Bound program, Arlene prepared for college and ultimately won a scholarship from NASA, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration. Since then, she has made successful step after successful step toward that dream, and now seems to have a realistic shot at her goal of becoming the first person to walk on Mars. She has graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering, and she is proceeding with graduate work, determined to achieve her Ph.D. But as part of her NASA scholarship, even before achieving her bachelor's degree, Arlene began working as a NASA intern at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California during the summers. Waking up every morning and going to work for NASA is so incredible. There are no words to describe it, Marlene says. In the summer of 2004, she worked as propulsion lead on a $1 billion mission concept to send 3 landers to Mars. The next year, she was helping determine a precise Mars landing site for the Phoenix lander, launched in 2007. Marlene's vision has continued to drive her toward her goal to fly in space. All this is a long ways from the sugar beet fields and the potato bodega where she worked as a teenager. Mom wanted us to understand where we came from, Marlene recalls. After 3 or 4 summers of getting up at 5 a.m. to hoe weeds in her uncle's sugar beets, she was determined, I am not going to do this the rest of my life. When her mom let her move from the beet fields to the potato shed to sort potatoes, she realized, my mom has done this for years and years to take care of our family. And Marlene resolved that she and her mother would someday get out of the potato sheds. Marlene achieved high grades, but she also knew she had to be well-rounded, so she played varsity volleyball and softball in high school, and she was chosen Warden's Junior Miss 2000. As she approached high school graduation, she worked hard in preparing scholarship applications, and she had lots of teachers and mentors check her applications over and make recommendations. She won a NASA space grant and an additional scholarship from UW. She could leave the fields once and for all, go to UW, and concentrate on her studies with $83,000 in scholarships. In September 2002, she was asked to speak alongside award-winning actor James Olmos in front of 800 of the top business executives in the state at a UW scholarship breakfast. Marlene told the gathering how hard it was for her to succeed at UW. There were times in my first and second quarter when I thought, college is not for me, or I can't take this anymore. Everyone is so much smarter than I am. Then I thought how hard my parents and grandparents worked to get me a high school education. I told myself every day that if they believed in me, I should believe in myself. UW President Richard McCormick said at the time, Marlene delivered an inspiring, heartfelt, and very personal speech. She captured our hearts as she spoke of her grandparents and parents' struggles and sacrifices. Many people were moved to tears by her message, including Governor Gary Locke. At the urging of one CEO in attendance, astronaut Steve Smith sent Marlene a personal note and signed photos from some of the space shuttle missions he served. His note said that Sally Ride, the first U.S. woman in space, wrote him a note in the mid-1980s telling him to follow his dreams. He now wanted to impart the same message to Marlene. And Marlene, in turn, has a message for other struggling students. Coming from the background I come from, I know how hard it is for you. But I know you're smart, and I know you know how to work hard. You can do whatever you want. There are so many people willing to help. Don't worry about the money. Just get the grades and set the goals, she says. Without goals, you can't go anywhere. My goal is to be an astronaut, and as I continue to chase my dream, I have come to realize how essential education and higher learning is for our society and for our own future, she says. This young lady from Warden may very well be the first astronaut to walk on the planet Mars. I, for one, would never bet against her. And Adelia didn't want to go to school. She didn't speak English. She didn't have any friends yet in the Oregon town where her parents had moved. She had never been to school before. You can do it, Adelia. You can do it, her mom would tell her. Her mom walked her to school and got her enrolled, but as soon as her mom left, she went out the side door and beat her mom home. She had to go back, her mother insisted, and once again she reassured her, you can do it, Adelia. You can do it. And Adelia was just one of those migrant kids who showed up to school without much preparation for success. She didn't know the language, didn't know the alphabet in any language. All statistics would have predicted her failure. But every time she wanted to give up or faced an assignment she could not figure out, her unschooled parents could not help much with the assignment. But her mom would tell her, "You can do it, Anadelia, you can do it." In high school, one counselor laughed at her idea of going to college, even though Anadelia was getting good grades. "You are Mexican. You're going to get pregnant, have lots of kids, and be a mother." Consequently, Anadelia didn't get much counseling on what she needed to do to go to college. After graduation, she just showed up to the first day of the fall semester at the nearby private college. Perhaps it was her pure innocence that enticed the school to let her try, but she was told she could only go as long as she could pay the tuition and get straight A's. She had to work full-time to pay the tuition, and she had to study late into the night to keep her grades up. But when she felt like quitting, her mom would assure her, "You can do it, Anadelia. You can do it." She did graduate with straight A's and became a teacher. Over the years, she continued on to a master's degree and then a doctor of law degree. Then she had an opportunity to be a principal of one of the poorest schools in Oregon. New challenges, new doubts, new fears. But her mom's words kept ringing in her ears, and she shared them with the children. Most of the children spoke English as a second language, and their skin was at least as brown as Anadelia's. They too arrived at school with fear in their eyes. But Anadelia was like a mom to all 700 children. Every day she and her teachers talked to the children about their college plans, and every day they taught the children, "You can do it too. You can do it." Somehow her children at school defied all the statistics. Despite all their challenges, Anadelia's school became one of the highest achieving schools in the state. And in the year 2000, Anadelia was honored as Oregon State's Principal of the Year. But when the White House called Anadelia, Schofield thought it was a silly prank. Now, as co-chair of President Bush's Commission on Educational Excellence for Hispanic Americans, she has had the opportunity to share her encouragement to parents, educators, and children across the land. Speaking to a national conference of migrant educators and parents, she declared, "We're not just going to move mountains, we're going to move universes." Her mom has since died, but Anadelia says her mom is still always with her in her mind and heart, repeating her words of encouragement, "You can do it, Anadelia. You can do it." You can do it too. For those families where no one has ever attended college, it is a frightening, intimidating, seemingly impossible prospect. Parents have no experience on which to give advice, and if anything, wonder how valuable a college education really would be to the family. The family needs the children to help earn income now, not in 4 or 5 years. Helping one child prepare and successfully get into and through college changes the destiny of an entire family and can ultimately impact hundreds of lives very directly in just 2 or 3 generations. And that doesn't count the thousands of people these bright, hard-working young people can impact as part of their careers in science, education, communications, business, and government. This is the importance of such programs as the Student Leadership Program, Gear Up, Upward Bound, and CAMP. Students must believe. They must dream. They must see a practical way to achieve their dreams. And then these students who have learned to work and survive since they were in diapers will make the sacrifices necessary to achieve their dreams. And they can contribute their special gifts to our society and once again prove the genius of the American system and that this is still the land of opportunity. You can do it. We can do it. Sí se puede.